Tomorrow night, and maybe some snow before the weekend's over. Good news for those skiers and snowboarders there. And thanks for joining us on this Friday night after college basketball. I'm Brian Blakely.
A Mount Holly treasure paints a picture.
Hey, look at this. We shattered the previous record of 77 on this 20th day of February from back in 2014. We made it all the way up to 83 degrees in the Queen City earlier, and it still feels pretty comfortable outside right now. Comfortably cool 66 degrees with a lighter west-northwest wind compared to how gusty it was earlier today. We had some of those wind gusts around 40 to 45 miles per hour up in the mountains, but much more settled conditions out there tonight. We've got low 50s up in the higher elevations, so those skiers and snowboarders enjoying some warmer weather skiing here so far. It's going to get colder though by the end of the weekend. 55 in Lincoln 10. We're still hanging on to the upper 60s there in Monroe, low 60s heading down into Lancaster, South Carolina. We take a look at radar and it's still pretty much dry scan, at least in our local area, but noticing some of those scattered showers, a couple bands of rain there, one just off to our west over sections of southeastern Tennessee. So that moisture will continue to increase as this front kind of lifts back up to the north as a warm front later tonight and early tomorrow. So basically the rain chance is just ramping up, especially once we hit daybreak in the morning and throughout the morning. The morning is going to be the wettest part of the day too. So coming up in my pinpoint weather forecast, I'll show you a closer look at that timeline when we will get some dry time. We have another round of rain heading in for Sunday, and yes, concluding with that mountain snow as temperatures get colder. So all the details on that and how much of that snowy accumulation we could see up that way, that's heading a few minutes.
Record heat to mountain snow, Tara. Love it. You can stay up to date on the conditions and track the storms right down to your neighborhood by using the Pinpoint Weather app. It's free to download from the Apple App Store and on Google Play. Crowd of teens getting out of hand at Birkdale Village last weekend sparked outrage among the locals calling for change. Huntersville town officials responded, imposing a 6 p.m. curfew, which went into effect tonight. And this was the scene earlier this evening as that curfew went into effect. It appeared to be a much quieter and safer environment for the popular shopping area. Huntersville police are also increasing their presence at the Birkdale Village to prevent more disturbances. A Charlotte man is working to get his best friend back home after he was unexpectedly detained at Charlotte's Homeland Security Department office. It's something that is happening across the country and not just to people from Spanish-speaking countries. And it comes as the Trump administration immigration enforcement measures are being debated across the country. Queen City News reporter Shakira Speaks looks at what's breaking the bond between two friends.
They just arrested him in one of the usual check-ins. The ICE check-ins.
It was a normal day for Azerbaijani best friend Samir Gadirov and Tural Atakashiev. But that quickly turned into a nightmare when Tural's monthly check-ins at a Charlotte Immigration and Customs Enforcement facility lasted longer than normal.
I wait 2 more minutes and I asked from the help desk there, and she told me that they already took Tural to the DHS office.
Now it's been over a month and Tural is still not home. Samir says he'd been in the U.S. for a year now, his paperwork current and his record clean. But that didn't stop immigration officials from detaining Tural. Immigration attorney Cynthia Aziz says it's not just Latinos who are being caught up in enforcement efforts.
It's a human rights issue at this point. It's beyond a civil rights issue.
A Syracuse University report shows as of February 7th, ICE officials were holding more than 68,000 people in detention. Aziz says the Trump administration has taken away many attorneys' connections to federal immigration agencies.
We are only able to use electronic functions, which the public has access to as well, but as limited information, and they won't respond if the case hasn't been pending more than so many months. And it's almost numbers of months, as much as 48. So you're not looking at 2 or 3 months, you're looking at a couple of years.
Samir hopes it won't be that long. He says Tural has already lost several pounds from lack of food and his mental health is declining.
It was like death of Tural, so I couldn't get contact with him. So it's been like the 3 days and after 3 days, he was able to call me and, So I felt he's kind of dead of that moment. Now we are just waiting for his release and deportation to his country.
While we were out here, we spoke to two other families who say their loved ones went inside the DHS building for morning appointments and never returned home. And Samir says he hopes more people will speak out about the issue. And if his friend does return home, they won't immediately try again for citizenship. For now, reporting in Charlotte, Shakir Speaks, Queen City News.
Federal officials are defending their immigration enforcement efforts. They argue they've been able to get thousands of violent criminals out of the country and help to make communities safer. Enforcement efforts are continuing, even though several Homeland Security Department agencies are shut down due to a funding fight. Concord officials tonight say they're not hearing anything official about a federal immigration detention center coming to the area. They say that talk is from rumors in the community. Those rumors stem from a recent New York Times article stating that the site with 1,500 beds may be built on Weddington Road. The project status, according to the article, is described as proposed. On Facebook tonight, city leaders posted they have not been contacted and are not aware of any plans from federal officials. Controversial company that manages I-77 toll lanes in northern Mecklenburg County is on a short list of firms seeking to develop a similar project in South Charlotte. NCDOT officials are proposing a $3.2 billion expansion of I-77 between uptown Charlotte and the South Carolina state line. State officials have stated they're considering elevated lanes to be built along that stretch of highway. Company called manages the express lanes stretching from I-85 into Iredell County. It's listed as one of the companies seeking to be considered for that I-77 South project. This is video of the 2017 protest along I-77. Demonstrators were upset about the project cost from Sintra and the 50-year contract with that company to oversee the toll operations. North Carolina lawmakers are considering changes in how long it takes teenagers with learner's permits to get their driver's licenses. Starting in 1997, teenagers had to keep their permits for a year before moving up to a license. The aim was to give young drivers more experience while supervised by parents or instructors. That changed in 2021 in the wake of the COVID pandemic. Lawmakers shifted the requirement to 6 months as they tried to reduce long wait times at DMV offices. They moved it to 9 months in 2023. Safety advocates are pushing members of the General Assembly to return to the 1-year standard. They say the more the time the teens stay with their permits, the safer they are on the road.
For someone who's just learning how to drive, anything we can do to get them to get more experience is going to be helpful in reducing crash rates.
Between 2021 and 2023, when the requirement was 6 months for that permit, the number of 10 crashes rose 13% from when the requirement was a year. You are looking live at the White House tonight in Washington, where President Trump says he is not done with tariffs despite a Supreme Court ruling against his actions today. In fact, he's now ordering a 10% global tariff after justices struck down his trade actions. He's also attacking the 6 justices who ruled against his economic program, calling them disloyal to the nation. Maddie Beertemple looks at the tariff debate.
The court's ruling says tariffs are a tax and the power to tax lies with Congress, not the president. It was a 6-3 decision that President Trump called a disgrace.
The Supreme Court's ruling on tariffs is deeply disappointing.
President Trump reacted to the Supreme Court ruling Friday, striking down his trademark tariffs.
Foreign countries that have been ripping us off for years are ecstatic.
The court ruled President Trump broke the law when he imposed sweeping tariffs last spring under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, or IEEPA. Chief Justice John Roberts wrote, quote, "The framers did not vest any part of the taxing power in the executive branch."
The Supreme Court did not overrule tariffs.
President Trump said he'll use alternatives and said he'll sign an order Friday imposing a 10% global tariff under a different law.
We will be able to take in more money, and there'll no longer be doubt.
Democrats in Congress are praising the ruling, saying the tariffs have driven up prices and caused uncertainty for businesses.
I think our small businesses will be delighted.
As for the more than $100 billion collected from the tariffs,
what the ruling basically says is that companies that paid these tariffs are entitled to a refund.
In a dissent, Justice Brett Kavanaugh wrote that returning the money is likely to be a mess. But Kyle Handley with the Cato Institute disagrees.
All of these things are tracked in a computer system, and so to argue that it's going to be difficult or time-consuming is just incorrect.
Other tariffs are still in place that were not imposed under IEEPA. That includes tariffs on things like steel and aluminum, cars, copper, lumber, and products like kitchen cabinets. In Washington, I'm Maddie Beer-Temple.
There are differing views tonight among Carolina politicians about the High Court's decision on tariffs. North Carolina Democratic Governor Josh Stein says the president's tariffs have created chaos. He says the court's actions are good for farmers, business owners, and families. South Carolina businessman Ralph Norman, who is also a candidate for governor this year, supports the president's tariffs. He says the nation's $38 trillion national debt is a key reason the government needs the tariffs as legitimate revenue sources. Some North Carolina business owners say they are not ready to go all in on the optimism that the Supreme Court's decision will help them. Operators of a Wake Forest brewery say they get 50% off of their ingredients from countries like Germany, England, and New Zealand. They paid more to get those ingredients and have tried to keep those costs from hitting customers, but they're also worried the tariffs may not really budge.
The price is already up. So I don't think my rosés from Germany are going to suddenly be $2 less next year. I think everything's going to pretty much stay as it is, and we're all going to have to continue to eat these costs.
Brewery operators say they're paying 15% more for raw ingredients than they did this time last year.
Check that weather tonight. Still feels pretty good out there after that record-breaking heat that we had for the second day in a row. 83 degrees earlier today in the Queen City. It's getting much cooler, though, as we head through the weekend. That's going to come with some more rounds of showers and some mountain snow to talk about next. My Pinpoint Weather Forecast.
And he did what he had to do as a father. Any father would have did the same thing.
A man attacked in the Mecklenburg County Courthouse. Why a family says the man who was beaten was not a victim.
This incident was treated as a terrorism-related event.
And a driver crosses the country and crashes into a desert power substation. The mystery surrounding the attack near Las Vegas. You're watching Queen City News, the most honored and the most local news in Charlotte. You are looking live at South Park tonight, where there's going to be rain over part of the weekend, and it's coming with some cooler temperatures than what we saw the last couple of days. Chief Meteorologist Tara Lane joining me here at the anchor desk, and we're saying goodbye to the upper 70s, even 80s we saw today, right?
Yes, we're saying goodbye for a little while. So big cool down coming. Winter is back, as I guess it should be. I mean, it is February still after all.
Right, but what did it do to all those blooms today, possibly?
Well, I know exactly, because we're talking about sub-freezing temperatures, freezing conditions by especially Tuesday morning. Monday will be kind of right on the edge there, because we're still going to have some gusty winds, so that could keep temperatures a little elevated. But either way, we are getting much cooler compared to these past few days. Wet and cooler weekend, but no total weekend washouts. And where we're looking live right now, King Street and Boone, we're going to see some snow flying around by the end of the weekend and early next week, adding up to possibly several inches by the time all is said and done. So keep checking in with us here throughout the weekend for any updates on any winter weather alerts. Just know that travel could become more difficult up there with those sub-freezing conditions and then blowing snow developing by the end of the day on Sunday. So we'll keep posted on that. But today, we're talking about spring-like warmth here and almost feeling like summertime if you were out there for a long period of time underneath all that blazing sunshine this afternoon. 83 degrees, breaking the old record of 77 from 2014. Even our low this morning, which only made it down to 60, was a couple of degrees above the average late afternoon high. But we're getting just a little bit cooler out there tonight so far. 49 in Albemarle. We've got 56 in Rock Hill, lower 50s in Lincolnton, but still hanging on to some lower 60s heading up around the foothills from Taylorsville into Hickory, and lower 50s up in the mountains. So just kind of a range in temperatures out there. But the wind is settling compared to earlier today, and we're still looking at dry conditions scanning around on radar. Until I zoom out, you can see a couple of areas of rain, one marching through sections of South and Central Georgia there, and another one moving through, say, Chattanooga, Tennessee, heading up toward Knoxville right now, the southwestern corner of the state. So basically, we're going to see more of these showers developing through the night, and you can see that stream of moisture coming in along with that warm front, and those are some of the showers that will be with us come early tomorrow morning. So if you do have plans to head out early, maybe heading out to breakfast or brunch or something a little bit later on, best chance of rain will be early in the morning, 8, 9, 10 o'clock or so. By lunchtime, notice how those chances start to decrease. Temperatures hovering in the 50s, so nothing terribly chilly just yet. But the best chance of rain early in the day. The afternoon, you'll get plenty of dry time. Same type of timing deal is expected for Sunday too, where the best chance of this next round of rain comes in the morning. Plenty of dry time in the afternoon. Now, the exception is going to be in the mountains, where we see that transition over to some of that high elevation snow. So there's that wave of low pressure into tomorrow that will start to push in some rain at times. Again, tomorrow morning, Sunday morning, best chances of that. 66 cooler degrees tomorrow afternoon, which is still above the norm, but 53, that is slightly unseasonably cool for this time of the year to wrap up the weekend. Let's check things out and the timeline on Futurecast. So 8 a.m. tomorrow, likely more of a widespread band of some heavier showers more north of Charlotte, but we'll get some scattered activity rolling through the Charlotte metro too. But notice, as I said, around lunchtime, 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, it is dry. We'll see a little bit maybe of sunshine trying to break through, but not a ton, not as much as today. And then here comes the next round. Look at this. Widespread, heavier batches of rain a possibility. This is overnight tomorrow night and early Sunday morning, but this rain clears out quicker. So yes, plenty of dry time there, as I said, going into the afternoon, even late morning, but then you can see that blue developing in the mountains, and those often unscattered snow showers going to last right on into Monday. How much rain are we talking about? A few tenths of an inch, maybe up to half of an inch, or even just a little more than that, depending on where some of those heavier showers set up. But look at this, and this is why we'll likely see some sort of winter weather alert being issued for the higher elevations. We could see several inches of accumulating snow here in the high country by the end of the day on Monday. Highest elevations up towards ski country, as much as 4 to 6 plus inches of snowfall there, and maybe even around 2 to 4 inches places like Blowing Rock, and could see a little more than that up toward the mountains there at Jefferson. So ending the weekend with some of that mountain snow. It's going to be a colder start to next week, but back to sunshine, highs in the 40s, lows in the 20s, at least for a couple of days, Brian.
All right, Tara, thank you. Feeling crowded on the road? You're not alone. How Charlotte area traffic bottlenecks are hurting truckers and businesses. And go for launch. The Dayton NASA managers are targeting for the humans' next trip to the moon. You're watching Queen City News, the most honored and the most local news in Charlotte. Gaston County officials say it was an accidental house fire that killed the father of NASCAR star Denny Hamlin and severely burned his mother. It happened the night of December 28th at the Hamlin parents' home on Black Snake Road in Stanley. The house was already in flames when crews arrived. It took nearly 90 minutes for them to get it under control. Dennis Hamlin died at the hospital. His wife, Mary Lou, required treatment at a Winston-Salem burn center. Investigators say they cannot pin down the exact cause of the fire. Looking live at I-85 in West Charlotte tonight, truck drivers say they're feeling the squeeze as traffic increases on roads and highways. Experts call it bottlenecking, spots where too many vehicles try to squeeze through a smaller stretch of road, slowing everything down. Queen City News reporter Matt Stell shows us how the congestion is costing truckers and businesses.
Apex Transit CEO Marina Ivanov hears it daily from her truck drivers.
Imagine just every day being stuck in traffic for 3 or 4 hours out of those days. That is what you deal with.
That driving in Charlotte, especially during rush hour, is a pain in the, let's say, rear.
They could be 10 minutes away from a truck stop on Love's, that specific area that we're talking about, but it could take them up to 2 hours to get in.
In a new report from the American Transportation Research Institute, Charlotte is home to 3 of the top 50 worst bottlenecks for trucks in the country.
All 3 of those bottlenecks in Charlotte have risen in ranking. They've gone up the list, and this is not a list people want to be on necessarily.
Using GPS data and average truck speed, the report found that the worst of these bottlenecks in the Charlotte area is on I-77 in Huntersville near Lake Norman.
And at that location, during the rush hours, morning and afternoon rush hours, we see truck speeds averaging under 30 miles per hour at 26.9 miles per hour, which is actually down nearly 6% from last year.
Another problem spot for bottlenecking is one you'd probably expect, this infamous interchange in West Charlotte where 85 and 485 meet.
This is not just truck traffic. These are places where it's difficult for car drivers, too.
The North Carolina Trucking Association follows these reports closely, with recent data showing that congestion causes the trucking industry about $109 billion every year.
As you talk about consumer inflation, the price of eggs, the price of milk, the price of everything, the cost to get it from point A to B is obviously going to be factored into it.
And like a lot of things, that cost is typically passed on to customers.
So whether it's the fuel that goes in our cars, the food that we eat, the clothes that we wear, the furniture in our homes, all of that is delivered by trucks.
So what can be done about it? Greenberg says the obvious answer is more investment in infrastructure.
The beauty of the list, if you look at some of the other states, is that when work and dollars are put into these areas, they improve.
People love Charlotte. The city is growing, but our roads are not growing with it.
In West Charlotte, Matt Stell, Queen City News.
A day before a judge is interrupted by a fight inside the Mecklenburg County Courthouse. What a murder victim's family is saying about the attack on the suspect. And we're in for a string of Friday nights when the fish will fry. Why being observant over Lent comes with a higher cost. You're watching Queen City News, the most honored and the most local news in Charlotte. It is a fight inside the Mecklenburg County Courthouse, all caught on camera. A man accused of murder was attacked ahead of a hearing. Tonight, we're hearing from the murder victim's family. Queen City News reporter David Schumann shows us how the emotions of the victim's father allegedly motivated what happened.
The family of Jamarie Dixon asks, what would you do if you came face to face with the man accused of murdering your son? They say this is what his father, Shaheem Snipe, did.
So the emotions got the best of him, and he did what he had to do as a father. Any father would have did the same thing.
Jamarie Dixon was 16 last spring when police say Marion McKnight shot and killed him. McKnight is charged with first-degree murder, as well as the attempted murder of 2 others who were shot.
We're still grieving. Like, this is a wound that would never, ever close because my nephew was 16 years old, and he should still be here with us.
McKnight was released on $100,000 bond, something the family says never should have happened. That release led to an encounter at the Mecklenburg County Courthouse before a hearing Thursday. Jamarie's mother, Lynette Dixon, missed the fight but saw the video.
My face smiled. I smiled. That was the first time that I've had a real smile since my son's been gone.
McKnight went to the hospital after the attack. Jamarie's father was charged with misdemeanor assault. Lynette says she's proud of him, although she still misses everything about her son, who was a football player and honor student.
Every year I got a happy birthday text, happy Mother's Day, happy Valentine's Day. I never get none of that no more. So it's breathtaking.
In Charlotte, David Schumann, Queen City News.
Yesterday's hearing was for prosecutors seeking to have McKnight's bond revoked. Court officials rescheduled that hearing. We did not hear back from McKnight's lawyer. A North Carolina judge is denying bond to the man accused of killing a father in Garner, then shooting at police trying to arrest him. Solomon Owens made his first court appearance earlier today. Joey Adams, a father of 5, was shot and killed in his car on February 9th. Last night, investigators tracked Owens to a home in Raleigh. They say he opened fire at officers as they were serving a search warrant. An officer and Owens were both hurt. State and federal investigators are trying to determine why a man drove across the U.S. to crash his vehicle into a Nevada power substation. They say the Albany, New York man traveled 2,500 miles before crashing into the facility south of Las Vegas and taking his own life. As David Charnes reports tonight, authorities don't know why he did it.
This incident was treated as a terrorism-related event.
It's the latest terrorism-related event in the Las Vegas area. Surveillance video showing 23-year-old Dawson Maloney of Albany, New York, accelerating through this security barrier, then crashing into these spools of wire. Maloney later dying by suicide. Inside the rental car, officers finding multiple guns, and inside a nearby hotel room, explosive materials and extremist documents. Metro Police and the FBI say Maloney left New York State last weekend, driving cross-country, his family reporting him missing.
In a message to his mother, the suspect referred to himself as a dead terrorist son and stated he felt he had an obligation to carry out his act.
The FBI searched 2 homes in New York connected to Maloney, seizing electronics and other items.
Several gun components needed to assemble a firearm, a 3D printer as well.
Thursday's ramming resembling another power substation attack from 3 years ago. In that case, a man drove a car into machinery at a solar array north of the valley. Both incidents raising questions about the vulnerabilities of these facilities.
That's something that we're continuing to look at. We know in this particular case, there are private security officers that are out there. There's video.
Right now, investigators here at Metro and at the FBI are going through Maloney's digital devices, trying to figure out why he did this and why he chose the Las Vegas area.
This is the first Friday in the Christian Lenten season, and that often means fish fries. During Lent, many believers avoid eating meat and having fish instead, but many people putting pollock or cod into their fryers will have some sticker shock this year. The prices of seafood are about 30% higher than they were during Lent in 2025.
Pretty much across the board. Seafood is one of the items that have gone up the most in this industry. This industry has changed. It's expensive.
Analysts say prices are higher this year because of global supply pressures and higher operating costs within the seafood industry.
If you're heading out maybe to get some of that seafood this weekend, you may encounter some rain. Well, mainly in the mornings. We're tracking some showers moving in from the west. I'll show you a closer look at that timeline and when we'll see some of that mountain snow beginning. That's next.
NASA managers share the results of a dress rehearsal for their next mission to the moon, what they're saying about whether they're go for launch. You're watching Queen City News, the most honored and the most local news in Charlotte on a Friday night.
What does it really take to build generational wealth?
And why do so many families, especially families of color, start at a disadvantage?
For our Queen City News Black History Month special, we hold a powerful conversation right here in the heart of Charlotte, looking at the history, the data, and the path forward.
By bringing together leaders and experts in our community right here in the Queen City.
Generational wealth, the conversation on Queen City News.
Queen City News honors Black History Month. Julius Chambers' firm eventually became the first integrated firm in North Carolina history. The firm successfully litigated a number of cases before the United States Supreme Court, including the school busing decision in Swan v. Charlotte-Mecklenburg Board of Education. In 2020, Vance High School in Charlotte was renamed to honor Chambers.
To the weather now, as Chief Meteorologist Tara Lane is here. And Tara, we had just hit a record of 83 degrees, but you're talking about snow.
Right.
For the forecast.
Forecast, we go from
in
83 and then snow in the mountains and to cold. I mean, it's going to feel like wintertime again.
Oh my gosh.
So
what a shock to the system, right?
Exactly. I know. It's going to be about a 40-degree, close to that high temperature difference come early next week compared to the 83 that we had earlier today. Wet and cooler weekend. No total washouts, though, of days. So you'll still get in some dry time. And boy, those skiers and snowboarders coming down the hill there, coming down the mountain, look like they're having fun doing some night skiing. As long as these temperatures are still in place, these pleasant temperatures still sitting in the 50s up there in the higher elevations. After, again, in the Queen City, we broke the old record of 77 big time from 2014 all the way up to 83. And really, most of us outside of the mountains did hit those lower 80s earlier today. 66, though, right now with a much lighter west-northwest wind, only at 3 miles per hour. Got pretty gusty earlier today, and it will become quite windy again by the end of the weekend. So there's a low 50s up in the higher elevations, but already down to 49. So dropping temperatures there in Lincolnton, Albemarle. We've got 59, though, still in Lancaster, and some lower 60s off to the east into Richmond County. Still looking dry as we scan around the region, but I showed you these couple of areas of showers there back off to the west. A little bit of that light rain entering the southwestern corner of the state, southwest of Asheville. So that moisture is streaming in as a warm front, and eventually area of low pressure pushes in more rain by tomorrow night and early Sunday. So we'll get some scattered showers breaking out again and moving across portions of the region here into tonight and especially early tomorrow morning through about 10 o'clock or so. But around lunchtime and especially after that, the rain is over and done with. So then we get a break before the next round moves in for late tomorrow night, overnight while we're sleeping. Could be heavy at times and to kick off the day on Sunday, but then Sunday afternoon back to drier weather. But as temperatures get even colder, we go from 66 tomorrow to 53 on Sunday, much colder in the mountains. We'll see that snow developing. So here's that more specific look at the timeline here. 8 a.m. tomorrow, looking at some of the scattered areas of rain. Could have some moderate to heavy batches of rain in there to kick off the day. But by 4 p.m. and even before that, lots of cloudiness around. It's not going to clear out completely like it did earlier today, but we'll see some breaks and peaks of sunshine. Definitely drier, though, for the afternoon. But pretty quickly after that, the rain takes over again. So here's a look at 3 o'clock in the morning, early Sunday. We're already starting to see that transition over to some snow happening. One round up in the mountains. Meanwhile, the rain starts to clear out after the morning around the Charlotte Metro and the Piedmont. So back to some sunshine and clearing, but windy in the afternoon. And then you can see how more of those with the northwest flow here, those scattered snow showers develop, and that snow could be coming down steadily into the night and into Monday. So adding up to several inches of snowy accumulation there in the high country, maybe up to 4 to 8 inches in spots, especially in the highest elevations, western facing slopes, looking at about 2 to 4, but could have some isolated higher amounts even around parts of Watauga County, around the Boone area, about 2 to 4 inches down there in the mountains of Burke County, around Jonas Ridge and up toward Jefferson as well. Check out how much colder temperatures are going to get for you all in the mountains. We go from 56 tomorrow, only 34 on Sunday. Cold and windy on Monday as the snow starts to taper off, only 26 for a high, 36 for Tuesday. By Wednesday, those temperatures start to moderate just a little bit. But here tonight will be a little bit cooler than last night, but still well above normal for this time of the year for lows. 40s in the mountains, 50s across the Piedmont, only in the mid 50s in the high country tomorrow, mid upper 60s across Piedmont areas and out toward the Sandhills there. So a cooler weekend overall. We start colder early next week, those lows back in the 20s, but temperatures are already back in the 60s by 7 days from now.
Every night I look up at the moon and I see it and I get real excited because I can really feel she's calling us and we're ready.
NASA managers are moving forward with their plans to launch the Artemis 2 mission to the moon as soon as March 6th. Last night, they successfully wrapped up what they call a wet dress rehearsal, where they fuel the space launch rocket system and simulate the launch. That achievement means the agency is on target to send 4 astronauts on a lunar fly-around, humans' first trip to our nearest neighbor since 1972.
We've all gotten to a place where we want to be relative to how sharp we are and how we operate.
Space Agency has only a 5-day window in March to launch the crew aboard the Space Launch System before standing down until April. A sweet controversy is brewing over one of the nation's favorite candies. What's in it and what isn't? The grandson of the inventor of the Reese's Peanut Butter Cup claims Hershey's has cheapened the recipe. Brad Reese claims the confectioner is replacing real milk chocolate and peanut butter in some of the products bearing his family's name. A reporter checked the ingredients of the Reese's Spring Collection. The carrots do not contain milk chocolate. The eggs do, but it is not the first ingredient.
We're going carrot first.
Carrot first.
You got to get the filling in there too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I don't think that's real. That tastes different.
So now we're moving on to the eggs.
Oh, egg.
It's good no matter what, isn't it? Though.
Well, this has less chocolate.
This is more peanut buttery.
Hershey Corporation issued a statement this week saying the iconic Reese's Peanut Butter Cups are still made with milk chocolate and peanut butter, but they acknowledge a change in the recipe as they roll out new shapes and variations. You're watching Queen City News, the most honored and the most local news in Charlotte. We'll be right back with a final check of your weekend pinpoint forecast, followed by Carolina Sports Live.
Some of you could be waking up to some rain, mainly tomorrow morning. The afternoon, though, we get plenty of dry time. Sunday, it's another round of rain, but again, in the morning. The afternoon is drier. We'll start to see some snow breaking out in the mountains. Several inches of snowy accumulation possible there into Monday. So, you know, we're talking about the return of mountain snow. It's going to be colder. 66 tomorrow, only in the 50s on Sunday. We're back in the 40s early next week, lows in the 20s, but already by 7 days from now, those temps start to moderate a little bit again. So up and down we go.
Yeah, looking at those 20s already. That's going to be a cold week next week. Enjoy the weekend right now. Thanks for joining us here on Queen City News tonight. On this Friday, stay right there. We got Mike Lissette joining us for CSL next.
Now, it's CSL, Carolina Sports Live.